Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. First of all, I'd like to apologize for taking forever to release another video, but I've been very busy. Plus I have a couple other channels here on YouTube that I've been working on. So I ask you guys to please forgive me, but I'm here right now. And yet again, I have another sensitive topic. And this one is about the role of a woman in this whole strong black woman movement that goes around these days. And that movement been around for many, many years. You know, women feel like, they don't have to answer to a man. They don't have to submit to a man. That, they pretty much the woman and the man. What I say goes and all that kind of good stuff, I'm not saying it's right, but that's why a lot of men look down on women and treat them the way they do, because a lot of women don't want to submit. You gotta understand that naturally a man have pride. They want to feel like they're the man. They want to feel like they the king of the jungle. You know what I mean? And a woman should make the man feel like that. You're the man. Hey, I'm just gonna do my part. Whatever. But there are some women who overstep their boundaries and they do a little too much, and it causes problems. So that's why I am against that strong black woman movement, or strong woman movement, whatever you want to call it. Now, I understand that there's a lot of single women out there, with kids or whatever. So I understand that. You have no good fathers and you have to play both roles. I understand that. But when you're married, you got a husband, you have to respect that man. Whether you want to or not, you have to respect them. You have to submit to him. Now, if he telling you to go rob a bank or go kill somebody, that's a different story. He going against the Bible or whatever, that's a different story, but you have to submit to your husbands. That way you will continue to be blessed. Now, let's go ahead and get right into it. Now, this video isn't bashing women or anything like that. I respect women, and women do have a role. Women have been successful. Men have been messing up, and women have stepped up, but that wasn't the way it was supposed to be. That's not their responsibility. That's not their role. So we're going to go over a little bit of that today. So bear with me and let's go ahead and get right into it. Now, I am going to be reading from my tablet, and I have some stuff here on my laptop as well. So you will see me looking to the side. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this out the way first. Check this out. In the creation account of Genesis 1, God's first word on the subject of men and women is that they were equally created in the image of God. So I want to put that little disclaimer out there first, that men and women both was created equally in the image of God. Check this out. Neither received more of the image of God than the other. Keep that in mind. That's very important. That is very important. As persons, as spiritual beings standing before God, men and women are absolutely equal. Now check this out. In Genesis 2, there's more detailed account of the creation of the two human beings that reveals the differences in their God-given functions and responsibilities. So even though they was created equally in the likeness of God, there are differences in the male and the female, and they both have different responsibilities. So you got to keep that in mind. Check this out. God did not create the man and the woman at the same time. That's very important to know. God didn't create them at the same time, and he did not create the woman first. Check this out. But rather he created Adam first and Eve later for the specific purpose of being Adam's helper. That's why Eve was created, to be Adam's helper, not to be a burden, not to be a pain in the butt, not to be overstepping him and just being disrespectful to him and everything, but to be a helper. To be a helper. Eve was equal to Adam, but she was given the role and the duty of submitting to him. Now, if we look up the definition of submit, check this out. It say accept or yield to a superior force or to the authority or will of another person. Now, who's that superior force? Who's that authority? Now, we know God is number one, your husband. Right now, we're talking about the man and the woman. That husband is the superior authority figure in the relationship. So the woman's supposed to submit. Now, I didn't say I'm not talking about being controlled or nothing like that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about simply submitting. So that definition again is accept or yield to a superior force or to the authority or will of another person. Check this out. The responsibility of wives to submit to their husbands then was part of the plan from creation, even before the curse. So that was already part of the plan from the beginning, that the woman was going to be, the helper, and then she was going to submit to the man. Okay, Adam and Eve, disobedient to God's command, resulted in certain consequences. That's Genesis 3. That's chapter 3, verse 16 through 19. Check this out. For the woman, God pronounced a curse that included multiple pain in childbirth and tension in the authority, submission, relationship of husband and wife. A lot of people didn't know that. That was a curse that was brought upon them. And like I said, it's in Genesis. Wow, that's amazing. A lot of people didn't know that. A lot of people didn't know that that was a curse. So check this out. I'm going to read that again. For the woman, God pronounced a curse that included multiply and pain. So anyone who have had kids know that it hurts. I'm a man, but I have been through some births, and I can just tell from the reaction that it hurts. That was actually a curse for it to hurt like that. It's actually multiplied. Pain in childbirth and tension in the authority, submission, relationship of husband and wife. Now that alone is pretty much what we're talking about. He's saying it right here that it's going to be tension in the authority, submission, relationship. So all this stuff, this whole black woman movement, or women don't have to submit to their husband, or we don't need them, all that stuff that's going on was actually written way before our time, thousands of years ago. So all these problems that people have in their marriages is biblical. So we really shouldn't be surprised. It hurts, it sucks, but it's part of the curse. So this is just something that we have to deal with. When I read this, I was actually amazed, but check this out. That's in Genesis 3 and 16. Check this out. It says the woman's desire will be for her husband, but he shall rule over her. Check this out. In Genesis chapter 4, verse 7, it says, check this out. The author uses the same word desire to mean excessive control over. Thus, the curse in Genesis chapter 3 and 16 refers to a new desire on the part of the woman to exercise control over her husband. I can end this video right there. But he will, in fact, oppressively rule and exert authority over her. The result of the fall on marriage through history has been an ongoing struggle between the sexes, with women seeking control and men seeking dominance. Wow. Like I said, I can end the video right there. That just said a lot right there. And one thing I like about this, like I said, I don't know it all. I learn along with you guys. I do my own research and my own studies and everything. And this right here is real. It's real, because this is what's going on. And like I said, I'm not talking about a man controlling a woman. That's a different thing. But just simple things. Women don't want to submit to the authority of the man. And that's not the way it's supposed to be. They definitely supposed to submit. And there are some that submit and there are some that don't. Check this out. Throughout the Old Testament, women were active in the religious life of Israel, but generally they were not leaders. Women like Deborah, that's in Judges 4, a lot of people talk about Deborah, were clearly the exception and not the rule. Keep that in mind. That was an exception, not a rule. So for a specific situation, Deborah was more like a leader or whatever, but that wasn't a rule. So a lot of people try to use that to argue against me and that, oh well, Deborah, whatever, that's not the case. That's not the case. So it said, okay, throughout the Old Testament, women were active in the religious life of Israel, but generally they were not leaders. Women like Deborah, that's Judges 4, were clearly the exception and not the rule. There was no women with an ongoing prophetic ministry. No women was a priest. No queen ever ruled Israel. No woman wrote an Old Testament or New Testament book. Isaiah 3:12 indicates that God allowed women to rule as part of his judgment on the sinning nation. Bear with me. In the midst of the Greek, Roman, and Jewish cultures, which viewed women almost on the level of possessions, Jesus showed love and respect for women. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to love the women and we're supposed to respect them. A lot of times if we do that, they'll submit, they'll humble themselves, they'll be the helper that they're supposed to be. But some of them, don't matter what you do, they just not going to do it. They just got that program in their mentality. They just going to be rebellious. They just going to fight against you. And that's just embedded in them. It's going to take God to get it out of them. Okay, in the midst of the Greek, Roman, and Jewish cultures, which viewed women almost on the level of possessions, Jesus showed love and respect for women. Though Jewish rabbis did not teach women, in the Jewish Talmud said it was better to burn the Torah than to teach it to a woman, Jesus never took the position that women, by their very nature, could not understand spiritual or theological truth. So back then, a lot of men felt like women wasn't worthy to even hear the word. But God specifically telling you right here, that's not so. That's not so. He not only included them in his audience, but he also used illustration and images that would be familiar to them. And specifically apply his teaching to them. Check this out. To the Samaritan woman at the well, that's John 4, he revealed that he was the Messiah and discussed with her topics such as eternal life and the nature of true worship. He also taught Mary, and when admonished by Martha, pointed out the priority of learning spiritual truth even over womanly responsibilities like serving guests in one's home. Although men in Jesus' day normally would not allow women to count change into their hands for fear of physical contact, Jesus touched women to heal them and allow women to touch him. That's in Luke and Mark. Jesus even allowed a small group of women to travel with him and his disciples. That's in Luke chapter 8, verse 1 through 3. An unprecedented happening at the time. After his resurrection, Jesus appeared first to Mary Magdalene and sent to her to announce his resurrection to the disciples. That's in John chapter 20, verse 1 through 18. Despite the fact that women are not allowed to be witnesses in Jewish courts because they were considered liars. Now, I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of, history, a little bit of background of, so you can see this for yourself. And feel free to, follow along and go back and read some of those scriptures yourself. Now, check this out. While Christian marriage is to involve mutual love and submission between two believers, that's in Ephesians chapter 5, verse 21, 4 passages in the New Testament expressly give to wives the responsibility to submit to their husbands. That's in Ephesians 5, verse 22, Colossians chapter 3, verse 18, Titus chapter 2, verse 5, 1 Peter 3 and 1. The voluntary submission of one equal to another is an expression of love for God and a desire to follow his design as revealed in his word. It was never pictured as demeaning or in any way diminishing the wives being equal. So women shouldn't feel like they're not needed or they're not welcome or anything like that, because like I said, this whole thing we talking about the specific role that God have and responsibilities that he have put aside for the woman. And it's not to be the man, it's not to be the head, it's not to be the authority figure, it's to be a helper to your husband and to submit to your husband. But you got to want to do that though. You got to want to do that. Okay, rather the husband is to call to love his wife sacrificially as Christ loved the church. Now we know God loved the church, so you better love your wife. Okay. And to serve as leaders in a relationship of two equals. So you have two people in a relationship and the man is to serve as the leader. He is to be the leader, not the woman. The man is to be the leader. He's supposed to lead the house. It don't matter if, if the woman feel like he's doing a good job or he's doing a bad job or he's not doing it right or whatever. The man is supposed to be the leader. Let him lead. Submit yourself. While husbands and fathers have been given the primary responsibility for the leadership of their children. That's in Ephesians 6 and 4. That's in Colossians 3 and 21. That's in Timothy 3, verse 4 through 5. Wives and mothers are urged to be workers at home. Meaning managers of the household. So that right there just explain the role of the women at the house. They're supposed to manage the household. The cooking, the cleaning, the washing clothes, the folding clothes, things of that nature. Making sure there's a nice meal. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Those was things that women did back in those days, and those that still apply for today. Household. Now, their home and their children are to be their priority. In contrast to the world's emphasis today on careers and full-time jobs for women outside the home. So even though you're working, your main priority is supposed to be your home and your children. I didn't say it. It's right here. I didn't say it. This ain't coming from me. It's right here. I'm going to say that again. Their home and their children are to be their priority. In contrast to the world's emphasis today on careers and full-time jobs for women outside their homes. Now, in my situation, my wife worked 2 jobs. I'm looking for another job myself. Financially, we doing real good. We have this nice, beautiful house. We have 3 vehicles, and we doing pretty good. But we have goals and we have different things that we want to accomplish, and we don't want to be stuck owing man the rest of our life. Meaning that we want to pay our house off early in a timely manner. We want to pay the vehicles off in a timely manner, and other things we have. We want to pay those things off because we don't want to owe no man. So a lot of times you have to make sacrifice. Now, it never was my desire for my wife to work 2 jobs or 3 jobs or whatever. My goal is for her not to work at all. And that's still going to happen. God's will, one day she won't be working. Right now she doing what she can, to help. But soon and very soon, she won't be working at all. All the work is going to be on me. Her job is going to be to take care of the house and take care of the children. Take care of the family. I tried to keep this video short. It's a lot more that I could have covered, but I didn't want to make this video too long. Look, I understand the movement on a strong black woman. I just don't want our Christian women to get so caught up in that they don't have to be helpers to their husband, that they don't have to submit to their husband. Because that's what the Bible specifically teaches us. The woman role, we just went over, to help her husband, to submit to him, and be managers of the household. And her priorities is supposed to be the family the children in the house. A lot of times things be all out of order and we wonder why things don't work right. But we gotta understand that God's word never change. We may change, but God's word never change. It still applies today like it did back in the days. So I really feel like if women humble themselves. Now, I do have another lesson for men. This one right here specifically is more for women, but I do have another lesson that I'm gonna do on men. But I really feel like if women just humble themselves, pray, ask God to give them that desire to be a helper to their husband, not to be in his way, not to be a burden, but to be a helper to their husband and to submit to him. Then I think things will work out better. I encourage all women, don't get caught up in that strong black woman thing. And anybody in your life, whether it's family or friends that tell you otherwise, you really need to stay away from them. Because a lot of times, we trying to live right, we trying to do the right things, but a lot of times we have negative influences around us that's veering us to go this way. And oh girl, you ain't got to listen to him. If I was you, I'll just do this, I'll just do that. No, the Bible specifically teaches the role of the woman in a relationship. And like I said, this ain't a situation when it, a man abusing his power and controlling. But like I said, you got situations when a man could just ask for something, okay, this is the order, this is how we're gonna do things in my house. She may not agree, so she won't do it. It's simple things like that, and it just make everything a little bit more difficult, So women, I encourage you, pray, ask God to give you desire to want to be that helper, to want to be submissive to your husband. And then also pray for your husband that he would be that willing vessel and he would be the man you want him to be. And you guys can have the open discussions and the communications and everything needed so your household will flow smoothly. That's all I have for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, please subscribe, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or anything, please leave it down below. And I'll see you guys next time.